So I'm completely flabbergasted by the praise this movie is getting, because it's honestly not good. And I stand by that opinion. For me, this movie was no higher than a 5.5 out of 10. And people are really out here giving it a perfect score. Okay, on average, this movie's sitting around a 7 out of 10, which I still think is insanely high, and I don't even know why. When I walked out the theater, I thought the majority of people would agree with me, but no, there's actually people saying this is the best DC movie. Like, no joke, people like this more than the Batman. So this is going to be a spoiler review of the movie, so if you haven't seen it yet, then beware. So in order to hype ourselves up for this movie, me and my friend were looking into some of the Blue Beetle comics and a few shows he was in to really prepare ourselves for what was to come, which wasn't much. Jaden read through the first comic of Blue Beetle and said it was pretty good. He gave it a solid 7.5 out of 10. I, on the other hand, was supposed to read Graduation Day, but school got in the way. Okay, yeah, that's kind of an excuse, but I was doing other things, okay? But we did go into this movie with at least a little bit of knowledge on Blue Beetle. So this movie had pretty much zero hype to it, unlike, you know, Spider-Verse, Oppenheimer, Barbie, and, you know, all those movies that were coming out this summer. DC wasn't really trying to give us a reason to watch this movie, and the last couple movies they dropped really doesn't help that at all. I mean, like, who really cared much about Black Adam, Shazam 2, and we watched The Flash. That was alright. You know, and the trailer just revealed the whole movie to me. I mean, like, from the get-go, I understood this whole evil corporation thing, using this superhuman technology as a weapon. Yeah, nothing at all surprised me in this movie. Like, I expected pretty much everything that happened. From the villains to the dad dying, it all just felt so generic for some reason. And the idea of an evil corporation using a high-tech weapon suit kinda sounds familiar. So the movie was very disappointing since we actually went into it with decently high expectations. The movie was very focused on the family, which, of course, you gotta expect since it's Blue Beetle. He's always been a very family-centered kind of hero, and that was made pretty clear in the trailers. But I know I'm gonna get hate for this, but Jaden and I both found the family pretty annoying. I mean, of course, the mother and the father weren't bad, and the grandma was probably the only family member I liked, but the sister, so annoying. The uncle, didn't like him. And let's talk about him. You got George Lopez for the uncle, who's, you know, a comedian and all, and I just didn't find anything he had to say funny, which of course, funniness is what they were going for almost the entire movie. They were just trying to make a funny movie for families, which, yeah, okay, that's fine. I mean, there were a lot of people laughing in the theaters like maniacs, you know, just cackling away at jokes that didn't even put the slightest smile on my face. Yeah, that was so annoying. But what was the most annoying is how they just try to put comedy into things that just weren't even funny. For example, there's this scene where the scarab first attaches itself to Jaime, and he's out flying in space, cutting buses in half. You know, the thing that all superheroes do when they're first getting used to their powers. And it's just playing some goofy music in the background. Unlike the trailer where you've got more of an epic and serious tone to that scene. But what I really didn't like is when Jaime gets back to his house, and he's clearly upset. I mean, of course, he just got infected with some alien creature, but the family just treats it like some joke. Like, they just witnessed all of that, and now they're just all making jokes about Jaime and not really giving a shit about what's going on. And I'm not asking for anything like super serious. I mean, comedy's fine. It's just the comedy in this scene felt super annoying. And then you got jokes like the grandma secretly being this badass old lady who had a geisha past, which wasn't revealed until the end. I thought that wasn't bad. I mean, it makes some sense. And the few jokes that I did like were the more subtle ones, like the grandma giving her little blessing to Jaime. That was cute. But things that were meant to be comedic, like the family being super over the top and cheering for Jaime on his big job offer, it was not doing it for me. I feel like I've seen it before. It just feels kind of annoying. Yeah, the comedy as a whole just was not it for me. And you had the serious moments like the talk with the dad, which wasn't bad. Maybe a little corny, but alright. And the dad dying, which again was decent. So the villain was another thing I really didn't like about this movie. So you got the CEO of the evil corporation, and oh my god, just the most generic evil person I have ever seen. Through the whole movie, she was just like, oh, I'm a evil villain, and you can tell because I'm mean to people. And then at the end, she's like, no, my plan failed. No. It's all just very goofy. I didn't care for her a single bit. And the actual supervillain that she was using wasn't great either. He was the classic supervillain with the sad backstory that I could see coming from 10 miles away. That one scene where he betrayed the main villain, and it showed his backstory and all, I just felt it coming when I first saw him. And the sad backstory is just completely dropped on us at the last moment, and I don't really care too much. If they wanted to do it properly, there should have been hints at it from the start, and there should have been a build up to that reveal instead of just dumping it on us at the last second. And you know, I feel like this villain should have gotten his own scenes if they wanted us to actually care about him more. Hey, but at least the fights were alright. kinda. There were some fight scenes where I was like, hell yeah, this looks pretty cool. And then there were some where I really just didn't care much. But I like Blue Beetle as a character and a superhero. He can like summon cool swords and shit, which I think is pretty sick. But some of the fights, especially towards the end, rely a lot on his family, which isn't necessarily bad. But some scenes, for example, that one scene where Jaime's suit is rebooting and he can't fight the guards chasing him. You know, the grandma ends up bursting in with the guns and saving him. That scene kind of disappointed me a little because I was thinking, okay, he's been relying on his scarab's powers the whole time. Here's a perfect chance for some development and for him to actually think like a superhero and come up with a clever way to get out of this situation. But nope, the grandma saves him, and all those scenes at the end I feel like could have been done better. But like, the character is fine. I think the actor for Jaime Reyes does a good job at portraying the character, but I would have liked to see some more out of him. You know, you've got this grand city that he's living in, and you know, Jaime likes living out at the outskirts where all the cultural significance is, which is good, but I would have loved to see more of that culture. Just fit it well into the villains and not have the whole movie be that, and it would be good. I feel like if we compare this to Spider-Verse, in that movie we see a lot about Miles' life in the city and how he interacts with his hometown and the culture he's grown up in. And it's done in a quick way that really packs a punch, but in Blue Beetle, I felt that was lacking. And when they did do it, it was just corny or always trying to be funny, but never actually funny. Alright, moving on to the CGI in this movie, it was better than The Flash. I can safely say that. There was a scene at the beginning of the movie which was in space, and I thought, maybe not the most realistic scene, but it wasn't bad. Of course, I'm not saying the CGI is great, nowhere near. It had many issues, like when the Blue Beetle or the villain, I forgot his name, got their masks off, it could look really goofy at times. But it's alright. I mean, nothing much to say about that. Unless, of course, you want to talk about the TCA Thrustmaster A320 throttle they've got in their little flying machine. But yeah, the CGI was alright. So some of this movie I just found kind of boring. Not as much as Jaden did. He really hated this movie.
4 out of 10. This is just another DC flop. It was corny. It was very corny. We've seen this movie before. The action, I feel like, wasn't that great. The build-up is super slow, tonally inconsistent, but it just isn't funny. They barely scratch the surface of what they could actually do with him. They just try to like involve way too much of the family stuff into the movie. I've seen this movie already. It's all stuff I've seen before. It felt so basic to me.
Like, what the fuck? Like, that's not funny. But I am really curious why so many people disagree with me. I was talking with some of my friends and they said they actually really enjoyed the movie. And that's fine. I'm genuinely curious to see why. So let me know what you guys thought of the movie in the comments. I feel like these DC movies have been getting so hyped up and they're honestly not even that good. I remember there were critics saying that The Flash was one of the greatest superhero movies, and now it's kind of similar with Blue Beetle. I just don't understand, man. This movie felt so generic. Aquaman 2 is going to be the last DC movie before the soft reboot, so let us know if you're going to go see that one. Probably not. So this has been Ryan from Critical Crew, well, at least for now. Subscribe for more movie and video game related content, and I'll see you in the next video where we...